Hello everyone, my name is Jess and welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Jazz. So happy to have you here today. If you like home decor DIYs and projects to decor your home, make sure that you're subscribed to this channel and that you hit the bell to get notified every single time that I'm going to be uploading new videos. And in today's video, I put together my top best 25 fall DIYs that I made this year, all of them in just one video for you guys. And I just really hope that you like and that you enjoy this video and that you can get inspired by these ideas to decorate your home on a budget using Dollar Tree items or things that you may have at home. If you like this video, please give me that big thumbs up, and I want you to let me in the comments which of these 25 ideas is one of your favorites. Let me know that in the comments. And also guys, make sure that you follow me on all my social media pages. My webpage, we post a new blog post this Monday, so make sure that you check that. And we also put a new video on my other channel, Jazomy home, so make sure that you check that video. The link is going to be in the description box. If you like that channel, you can subscribe too. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. Make some popcorn, a cup of coffee maybe, and let's get started. For this project, I'm going to be using this bicycle wheel wreath ring that I got from Dollar Tree, and I love this. It's the first time that I found this at Dollar Tree, so if you find one, you need to get it. It's so cool. It's made of metal, and what I'm going to be doing is to add another like wooden circle on top. I want these to look like super nice and real and with a high-end look, so I'm going to be adding a few pieces of wood in that circular shape to make the center pop out a little bit more. So basically I'm going to stick things that I just found at home. This wood has so many different colors and tones, so I'm going to be adding some wax in antique color, and I'm going to paint these to make sure that it looks even. Once it's dry, this is how my wheel is going to look, and I want to make these in a wreath. I decided to add some lamps here. I got these from Walmart, and they have these all year round, so I'm going to be adding two on one side of the wheel. Both look into different directions, and you can add hot glue or you can try to attach these using the same wire. Next, I'm going to be using this type of flower. I don't know the name of these. Guys, if you know the name of these type of flowers or like stems, please let me know that in the comments. I'm not sure what is this. I just know that I got these from at home stores on clearance from Christmas. It actually has a little bit of glitter, but it doesn't matter. I know that it's going to look great on my wreath. So I'm going to be cutting some pieces, and then I'm going to insert them and hot glue them close to the lamps here. Next, I'm going to be using these weights that I got from Amazon, guys, and I love them. They are real, and so I'm going to be adding a few of them. And also you can get them from Dollar Tree, but these are like a plastic version. They look a little bit fake, but I mean, it's okay if you want to work with that. You can add so many things, guys. You maybe can add pumpkins if you want. I decided to make these like pretty neutral. I know that it looks like for fall, but it doesn't have the pumpkins. I was really looking for that look, make things that looks perfect for fall but without pumpkins. And finally, I decided to use some raffia from Dollar Tree. I make a bow, and then I stick that in the middle of all of the greenery and the weeds and everything. And this is how my project turned out. It was super easy to make, and I really like it. You can use these on a fireplace, on the windows, or hanging from your front door. For this project, I'm going to be using this Jordan vase that you can get from Dollar Tree, and they have two that looks very similar, but this is the one that I'm going to be using because I think that it works the best for this project. And I'm also going to be using the sprinkler. Now you can get a few of these on Dollar Tree for the summertime, and they are so cool. And actually from this one, I'm going to be removing the lid that it has. I'm going to remove the screw, and I'm going to take that top part. that. Then I want to add like a small wooden cap on the top to kind of like give it a finished look to this piece. So I stick this wooden piece. You can get this from Walmart or Amazon. And what I'm going to be doing is creating a ginger jar with these two pieces. Now to give it the final look, I'm going to spray paint these outside, and for that I'm going to be using this warm caramel color, and I'm going to spray paint these outside and then I'm going to let it dry. Once they are dry, this is how my two pieces look. Now you can add maybe some stickers, you can add maybe rope or something like that, or maybe like a sticker to create a pattern. Normally these ginger jars has always like some kind of pattern, or they look like in just one color. So I decided to leave it simple with this color, and this is how my project turned out. It looks exactly like a ginger jar, and it looks so expensive, but it's all on a budget. It cost me less than $2 to make it, and I love how it turned out. I'm going to be using this wood that I just have at home. You can use anything that you have, maybe a tray, a sign, and you can add your deco to your project. Once I stick that, I'm going to be slowly start removing the transfer tape, and this is how the sign is going to look. Now I want to really add something really fun, and I'm going to be using these pom-poms that I got from Dollar Tree, and they are in black color, and I think it's just so perfect. I'm going to be sticking the pom-poms with hot glue on the top of the decal, and I think this is so easy because now that I have all of the shape of the word, it's so easy to stick the pom-poms on top, and it's going to have the perfect shape because of the decal that I just cut with my Cricut. This is another fun and easy way that you can use your Cricut for, and I think the final result is just so amazing. Once I stick all of the pom-poms, this is how my project turned out. I think it's so beautiful, so different and fun, and I just hope that you like it. Because of the vinyl that I stick on my wood, I know that I can remove these later, and I can reuse the piece of wood and maybe add the word winter or something like that and change it by seasons, because I stick the pom-poms into the vinyl and not into the wood, so I can reuse these, and I'm so happy for that. For this next project, I'm going to be using these natural wood slices that I got from Amazon, and they come in a package of 25 pieces. They are from a really good quality, and they are really inexpensive, so of course I'm going to leave you the link in the description box of this video. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is to make a wreath out of these wood slices, and I got this idea from Pinterest. I saw a wreath made out of these wood slices, and I need to try it, so I got mine from Amazon. And to start making my wreath, I'm going to be putting 5 of these wooden slices, leaving a small space between each one, and on top in those spaces I'm going to be adding 5 more of the wooden slices, and I'm going to be sticking them together, and for that I'm going to be using hot glue, but you can use wooden glue to really make sure that it's going to stick super well and strong. Next, I decided to use a little bit of this ribbon, and I'm going to be cutting a small piece to be able to stick all of the greenery in this ribbon. I'm going to be using this eucalyptus that is perfect now for fall. I'm going to be cutting some small pieces, and then I'm going to start sticking them on my ribbon. And guys, I also got these eucalyptus branches from Amazon. They are really cheap and they have the most amazing quality. I highly recommend these, so the link is going to be in the description box of the video. Once I stick the small stems on the ribbon, I decided to add some more color, so I'm going to be using some lamps here, and I'm going to be adding a few leaves here and there, and I'm going to stick them with hot glue. Once I have all of the leaves, I'm going to be using some of these pumpkins. I got them last year from Dollar Tree, and they come in a set of 3 for only $1. They're so beautiful, the perfect size. And I'm going to be sticking them on the center of these leaves. I'm going to stick them with hot glue, and then I'm going to cover any space with more leaves. Once I was done, this is how they look, and this is perfect because I want to be able to reuse these wood slices, to reuse this wreath for maybe any other season, maybe for Christmas. So I decided to stick all of the leaves in a small piece of ribbon because now I can use some drawing pins to stick these on the wood. I think this is a genius idea if you want to maybe reuse this wreath for any other season. And using drawing pins is going to be so much easier to stick any kind of leaves in a small piece of ribbon, and you're not going to have any mess with the hot glue. You can do the same on the back side of this wreath. You can add a small piece of ribbon, add some drawing pins, and this is going to be more than enough to hang your wreath because the wood slices are not heavy at all. Once I was done, this is how my wreath turned out, and I'm so happy and impressed how this looks. I was inspired by a photo that I saw on Pinterest, and I'm really happy that I was able to recreate this and that it turned out amazing and on a budget. So of course, all of the items and things that I use that are from Amazon are going to be in the description box of this video and on my Amazon favorites, on my Amazon store, so you can check that out. I'm going to be using one of these cylinder vases that you can always find at the Dollar Tree, and I'm also going to be using one of these round pieces, hanging wooden pieces that you can also get on the crafty square section. I'm going to be reusing one that I already paint with some wax in antique color, and this is how it's going to look, and I'm going to use that for the bottom of the vase. You can stick that with hot glue to the vase. Next, you can use a real candle or a battery candle, and you can add that inside of the cylinder vase. Next, you're going to need some corn, and this is super fun. You can also get corn from Dollar Tree, and what I'm going to be doing is to basically add the corn inside of the vase, and this is going to give it a really nice touch. It's super fun. It looks amazing. You can put these in your kitchen in a like a dining table or something like that. I think it looks super beautiful. It's an easy project to try with a big impact in any space. For this project, I'm gonna try to fix this pumpkin. I get it last year and it's made out of foam, and as you can see on the movie, maybe, I don't know, it gets some areas really damaged, and I can't use this pumpkin like this year. So I'm gonna try to fix that. First, I'm going to remove the stem that it has on top, and I'm gonna be using some fabric. I have this kind of like cotton runner that I just got, I think, from like Target on clearance. I don't remember, but you can use any type of fabric, any color that you have, maybe an old t-shirt or something like that. And what I'm going to be doing is to add glue on top and on the bottom part of the pumpkin. And just for like extra reinforcement, I'm going to be using these drawing pins, and these are going to help me to keep the fabric where I want to. Then I'm going to be removing all of those drawing pins, but they're going to help me a lot because this pumpkin is made out of foam, so yeah, it works perfect. And basically what I'm trying is to cover the whole pumpkin with the fabric. What I'm using is a runner, so I'm just going to be cutting some pieces and cover the pumpkin by parts, and I think it's so much easier that way. This is a really beautiful color and a very neutral pumpkin. I know I can use it in other years too, so I'm really happy that I have this fabric at home. But remember, you can get fabric in so many places like Walmart, Target, Hobby Lobby, Michaels, or maybe you can try to reuse anything old that you have, maybe an old sweater, a t-shirt, a blanket with a nice pattern, and you can do different ones with different patterns and colors and textures. Once that was done, this is how my fabric pumpkin now looks like, and of course you can remove all of those drawing pins that you use to help you keep the fabric where you want want it to be. Next, I'm going to be making sure that I have a hole on the top of the pumpkin to be able to add some glue and add the stem on top. Now I'm going to be working with this other pumpkin that I also have. Is made out of foam, and these ones, guys, are from Walmart from last year, and again it gets some damage, maybe because they have been in a box for 1 year, I don't know. But anyways, I'm gonna try to fix this pumpkin too. I'm going to remove the stem, and this time I'm going to be using some ribbon. I got this beautiful ribbon from Dollar Tree. It's kind of like a burlap ribbon, and it comes in different colors, and I really like this one. Is one of the colors that I'm going to be using this year. So what I'm going to be doing is to start cutting a few pieces in the same size, and then I'm going to start gluing them. Again, you can use drawing pins to help you keep the ribbon on place, and once the hot glue dries, you can remove them. I'm gonna cover the whole pumpkin with this ribbon, and it's super easy, guys. You can use maybe another ribbon without the wire on the edges, but actually it's not like a big problem. I cover the whole pumpkin and it looks amazing, and you can do these with any pumpkin that you have at home. Once I was done, I'm going to remove those drawing pins, and then I'm going to place the stem on the top of the pumpkin. And because I did like a small mess with the hot glue, I'm going to try to cover that with a metal leaf from another pumpkin that I have from Dollar Tree, I think. Once I was done, this is how my pumpkins looks like. They are so beautiful. You can cover them with any ribbon or any fabric that you have. These are old pumpkins that now looks amazing with a completely different look and texture, and I just love them. Start this project, you can use one of these wooden sticks that you can get from the plungers from Dollar Tree. You're going to need 2 of these. I didn't have enough, so I decided to use this other dowel that I just have at home. You can get this on Home Depot, Walmart, maybe Lowe's, and I'm going to cut it in half. Basically it's the same size, and they are about 18 inches long each one. Now what I want to do is to use my sanding sponge, and I'm going to be sanding all of the edges of the wood to make sure that they are smooth. Next, you can use these wooden rulers from Dollar Tree. They come to any package. I only have one, so I decided to use these sticks that you can get like from Walmart and Lowe's too. They're so cheap, and they come 3 in a package. I'm going to be using 2 of them, and I'm going to be cutting them with my saw machine about 9 inches long each one. And I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to use my sanding sponge and sand all of the edges to make sure that they are smooth. Now what I want to do is to make some marks, and I'm going to draw a small mark about 3.5 inches, and the other one in the same dowel about like 11.5 inches. I want to make a ladder, and these are going to help me to stick my like steps or the sticks in the right way and make sure that they are level. And I'm going to be gluing these with hot glue. You can use wooden glue. It's gonna take more time to dry, but it's going to work so much better. Okay, now that my ladder is ready, I'm going to be painting these. You can use any stain, any paint color. I love the wood tones, so I'm going to use my Waverly wax in antique color, and I'm going to be painting this with my brush. And once I paint everything, I'm going to be using a small piece of fabric, and I'm going to remove all of the extra wax that it has. It's going to help dry so much faster, and it's going to give it a lighter tone. Once the wax and the wood is super dry, I'm going to be using my sanding sponge, and I'm going to be sanding all of the edges. This is going to give it an extra touch, more dimension, and I love to do that on my projects. Okay, once I have that part ready, I want to add an extra touch to make this super cool for fall, and I'm going to be using this bag that I got from Dollar Tree, and it's so cute. I love the colors, and they come in different patterns, and I think these orange tones are perfect now for fall. But this time I'm actually going going to be using only like the back part. I want these to look a little bit more neutral, so I'm going to be using that neutral burlap piece, and I'm going to be cutting 4 small pieces. They look like small rectangles, and you need to make sure that you cut them as straight as possible. Once I have my 4 pieces, you can add so many things. You maybe can use your Cricut to create a decal. You can use paint and paint these yourself, or you can use stickers, and these ones are from Dollar Tree. It's a super cheap and easy option, and I'm going to be choosing the letters to form the word fall. Once I have that, I'm going to also be using a piece of U-twine, and I'm going to be cutting 2 small pieces. Then I'm going to be sticking these burlap pieces on the U-twine or the rope that you may have, and these are going to be for hanging my word fall. And I'm going to be sticking those pieces of rope on the back side of the steps with hot glue. From there, I'm going to be using these fall pig that you can also get from Dollar Tree, and I really like this one. I love all of the orange tones now for fall, so I'm going to be adding 2, one on top and one on the bottom part of this letter. And once I was done, this is how my project turned out. It was super easy to make, and I use things that I just have at home, but I show you how to do it using Dollar Tree items, and it's so on a budget, and I think it can look amazing close to your fireplace or maybe on your entryway. For the next project, you can use any sign that you have at home. I'm going to be using this round one that I get from Target, and I'm going to be adding a pumpkin. And I also did this pumpkin last year, and I'm going to leave you the link of that video on the description box. But basically, I'm just reusing this pumpkin and give it a new look. On the top, close to the stem, I'm going to be adding some small pieces, like small branches that I just have at home, and also some greenery to fulfill that part of the pumpkin and give these a neutral touch. To give it a nice pop of color and texture, I'm going to be using these cottons that you can get right now at Dollar Tree. They're beautiful and really high end, and then you can add maybe more leaves in different colors. And also I'm going to be adding this metal pumpkin leaf on the bottom part. Once I was done, this is how my project turned out. You can hang these on your door or on a wall. It is super easy to DIY. I use things that I have at home, things that I DIY last year, and it has the perfect neutral look. For the next project, I'm gonna try to recreate this faux olive leaf potted plant from this new collection, and I think it's so cute. So I'm gonna try to recreate these using this vase that I have for a really long time. I love the shape it has. I don't like the color, so I'm gonna try to make these look like wood. I'm going to be using this contact paper from Dollar Tree, and I have been doing this technique so many times, and I think it's so amazing. I'm going to be sticking this contact paper on my vase, but because it's not like straight, it has this type of shape that I love, but it's kind of tricky when you work with contact paper to make it look straight. So for that, you're going to need some heat, and I'm going to be using my heat tool. This is the key for this project. I'm going to be adding the heat on the contact paper just for a small amount of time, and it's going to make the process so much easier because the heat on the contact paper is going to make the contact paper stretch, and that way it's going to be so much easier to add and form the shape of the vase that you have without any marks or bubbles or anything like that. And trust me, it's so easy. It's going to take you some time to kind of figure out how to work with these, but I really like it, and it turned out amazing. It looks like a wood vase. And of course, the link of the heat tool is going to be in the description box and on my Amazon favorites. And make sure that you cut all of the excess of contact paper that you may have on top and like inside of the vase and on the bottom of the vase. You don't need to cover the whole inside of the vase, don't worry about that, because we're going to be covering that in just a second. Once you have your vase ready, I'm going to be adding some stones to give some weight, and then I'm going to be adding some moss on top to cover them. I prefer moss and stones, so yeah, that's what I did that. And then I'm going to be using some olive branches, of course, and I got this from Amazon too, that have the best quality and the best price. This is just like some really small branches from a really big branch that you can get in the package. So I just cut some pieces and I'm going to be adding them inside of the planter, and this is how my project turned out. Super easy, it looks amazing. You can do it and make it a little bit bigger with longer branches. And I want you guys to let me know if you have tried this technique before, working with a heat tool and contact paper. I think it's so cool, so let me know in the comments if you have tried this technique, and if not, make sure that you check the links to get your heat tool now, because you're not going to have regrets on that. For the next project, I'm going to be reusing this bucket. It's from Dollar Tree. It was green, but I painted for another project. Anyway, it doesn't matter what color it is. And I'm also going to be using these super jumbo craft sticks that you can get from Walmart. I'm going to be using these ones because my bucket is big, but you can make these in a smaller version and use the popsicle sticks from Dollar Tree. So what I'm going to be doing is use some hot glue and stick these around my bucket, leaving a small space between each of the sticks. Okay, once I was done with that, this is how my bucket is going to look for the moment. And what I want to do now is to stick more sticks. I'm going to be sticking in between the ones that I already put on the top. I hope that makes sense, but this is going to create more dimension on my bucket. And just make sure that you are adding the hot glue only on the bottom part of the popsicle sticks to try to like not make a big mess with the hot glue. Hope that makes sense. Okay, once I was done with that part, this is how my bucket is going to look for the moment, and you can leave it like that if you like this light natural wooden tone. I actually want to add a little bit more of like a rustic look, so for that I'm going to be using my wax in antique color, and with a brush I'm going to be adding very carefully a small amount of wax on my popsicle sticks, focusing on the sides, focusing on the top and the bottom side. Okay, once I was done, this is how it's going to look. And next you can add a really cute detail using nautical rope. So I got nautical rope from Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut a long piece, and then I'm going to basically make like hoops on each side of the rope, and then I'm going to be using some jute and I'm going to stick that around to give it that nice look. And I'm going to be doing the same in both sides of the rope. And once I was done, this is how they look, and then I just decide to stick that on my basket. Okay, next I'm going to be using more of these weights. Like I said, I got these from Amazon and I love them. They are real, they are so beautiful, perfect for fall. And of course I'm going to leave you the link in the description box. They are pretty inexpensive and they look amazing, so make sure to check the link in the description box. I decided to also add some lamps here to give it that green nice touch and filling all the empty spaces on my bucket. And once I was done, this is how my project turned out. It was super easy to make, extremely on a budget, and looks amazing and perfect for fall. For this project, I'm going to be using one of these Dollar Tree pumpkins that you can get. It's made out of foam, and I'm going to give it like a really nice look. So I'm going to be using some caulk that you can also get at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be adding these all over my pumpkin. Then you can use a spatula or a spoon to spread all of your caulk on your pumpkin. And you can play with these a little bit and try to create different types of textures or patterns. You need to let your pumpkin dry overnight, and once it is dry, this is how it's going to look. Now you can paint these any color. I decided to use some wax in antique color because this is going to give it a really nice look. It's going to have like a wooden look, and I really love that. So I'm going to be adding this wax all over my pumpkin. The wax is still wet, so because it's wet, I'm going to be adding some plaster color, some chalk paint in this color, just to give it like a lighter tone. You can make these, then let it dry. Maybe you can add some darker colors, maybe like black. You can play with your colors to create shadows and dimensions. But yeah, this is how mine turned out. And on the top of the pumpkin, you can add some moss and also a small stem, and you can stick all of that with hot glue. I decided to add my pumpkin to a stand, and for that I'm going to be using this margarita cup that you can get at Dollar Tree, and I really love the shape of these. You can get this one or the glass one in the kitchen section, and I'm going to be using this one, but I'm going to change the color. Of course, I'm going to be using some black MAC spray paint, and I'm going to spray paint this outside, let it dry, and this is how it looks. Now it's time to add some weight on these to make sure that it's stable, so I'm going to be using some stones for that. You can add your pumpkin on top, and then you can add greenery all over your pumpkin. This is going to add a really nice touch. You can use this greenery that is super neutral, or you can add weeds or any other greenery that you have at home, and you can add some like white touches like this foxtail just to bring more color to our project. Once I was done, this is how this beautiful piece looks like. I love the shape, the colors, how my pumpkin turned out, and how it looks on top of these margarita cup that is now my vase. Let me know in the comments if you have tried the caulking technique on any of your pumpkins this year, and give this project a thumbs up if you like it. This wooden pumpkin is a sign that you can get at Dollar Tree, and the first thing that I'm going to be doing is to remove the jute cord that has on the top. I'm gonna try to cover the hole that it has, and then I'm going to be using some tape because I want these to have two colors. So I decided to use this blue tape, and I'm gonna try to create a thick line on my pumpkin. Once I stick the tape, this is how it's going to look, and I decide to paint these using my wax in antique color, and I'm going to paint that part with the wax. You can use any color that you prefer if you want. You have so many options. It depends on what you're looking for, what match with your home decor. Next, I'm going to be drying these with my heat tool. It's going to dry super fast, and then you can remove the tape from your pumpkin, and this is how your pumpkin is going to look like. It's time to add your decal. I already removed all of the vinyl that I don't need from the decals. Next, I'm going to add a transfer tape on top, and I'm going to be transferring my decals to my pumpkin. This is the way that I stick them, and I think it looks so beautiful. I want to add this sign to my wreath. So on the back side, I decide to add some hot glue, a piece of jute, and just for extra secure, I'm going to be adding some duct tape on the back part. I'm going to be using this giant wreath that I have and that I get from a thrift store, and I'm going to make a knot with the jute cord that I have to my wreath to attach the Hello Fall pumpkin sign that I just did. You can decorate your wreath in so many ways. I decided to do it super on a budget, so I'm going to be using these maple leaves that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to be adding these stems on my wreath. I don't need to add any type of glue. This is going to stay well for a while. I'm going to be adding 4 in total of these maple leaves bushes, and then I'm also going to be adding these willows in this like mustard color, and I think it's going to really pop out. And you can also add heathers. You can add maybe some weeds if you want, and just add these to your wreath until you like how it looks. for the top of the pumpkin, for the stem, I decided to add a small piece of ribbon, also from Dollar Tree, that has this beautiful pattern. I just cut a small piece and I make a knot on the stem. And once I was done, I add my beautiful wreath to my front door, and this is how it's going to look. I think it's perfect, and I think it's going to welcome the fall into my home. In this next project, I'm going to share with you how I'm going to decorate this case stand for my bathroom. I have this idea of change these a little bit and add more color or texture to my cake stand. So I came up with the idea of adding this paper plate on top of my cake stand, and it completely changed the look of it. Talking about textures, I'm going to be using these glass vase from Dollar Tree. I'm going to add these on the back, and then you can add any greenery or stems that you have and you like. I'm going to be adding these too. Cost less than $1 and you can get them at Walmart. Next, to give some height, I'm going to be using this mini riser from the Target Dollar Spot, and I'm going to be adding this wooden pumpkin, this faux wooden pumpkin from Dollar Tree. At the other side, I'm going to be adding this beautiful neutral pumpkin that you can also get at Dollar Tree, and some white berries. Once I was done, this is how these turned out. I add these to my bathroom and I really love how it looks. I'm decorating my bathroom like super neutral, and I think this is the perfect touch on my vanity. For this next project, I'm going to be using one white cardboard from Dollar Tree, and you're also going to need some of these. It's like a electrical tape that you can get from Amazon. I have been making like a shiplap look with these in so many walls on my old apartment, and they look amazing. So today I decided to use these to make like a frame. So what I'm going to be doing is to kind of like make lines or just mark even spaces on my white cardboard with my ruler. I'm going to measure, and then I'm going to be sticking this black tape, this really thin black tape, to make that shiplap look. Guys, you can make these with markers and a ruler. You maybe can paint these, but trust me, this option is extremely easy, so inexpensive, because this tape is very inexpensive on Amazon. And of course, I'm going to leave you the link in the description box of this product. So yeah, that's what I did. I just stick my tape on this white cardboard and I made my shiplap look. Next, you need a frame, and I already have one that I did with some stick in a previous project. So yeah, I just reused this one, and what I'm going to be doing is to stick the white cardboard on the back of the frame with staples. And once I was done, this is how this looks. Now I want to add all of the details. I got this welcome sign, I think from Dollar General, like 3 years ago. I don't remember. I want to change the color because it looks pretty old and a little bit bad. So I'm going to change the color, and for that I'm going to be using this moss chalk paint color, and I'm going to paint this. I'm going to give it 2 coats, and then I'm going to dry everything with my heat tool that I love and that I always use. And again, the link of this product is in the description box of this video. Once I was done, this is how my welcome sign looks like, and I'm going to be sticking these on the bottom part of this frame. And guys, if you don't have a sign like this, Dollar Tree also have so many signs in like metal that you can get from each season, so keep an eye on that. Or you can go to Dollar General, or maybe you can use your Cricut or paint it yourself. Next, I want to add a wreath on top, and you can use one of these bamboo wreaths from Dollar Tree, but this one is a little bit bigger for my project. Instead, I decided to use this smaller one that I just have at home. I got from a thrift store. As you can see, this is the difference. Next, I'm going to be using these berries from Dollar Tree. I'm actually not going to be using the berries. I'm going to be using the leaves that has these because they are so cute. I love the green color that they have, and in the edges of each of the leaves they have a little bit of like a brown touch, and I think it looks just so perfect for fall. So I'm going to be sticking those on the sides around my wreath. Next, I'm going to be using more of this, and I'm going to cut small pieces, and I'm just going to be adding those between like the wreath. You maybe can add hot glue, but that is going to take you a little bit more time. You're going to make like a small mess with hot glue, so I just like to put these, and anytime I want to remove them to make another wreath, I can reuse it. As a final touch, I'm going to be using more of these wreaths that I still have, and I'm going to be cutting only like the top part, and then I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue and stick those on the top of the wreath, and this is what is going to give it that fall touch. I want these wreaths to be on the top of this sign, so for that I'm going to be using these self-adhesive hooks that you can get from Dollar Tree. They're super small and perfect for these kind of projects, so I'm going to be sticking that on the top of the sign, and then I'm going to hang my wreath. And this is a really good option because this sign looks perfect for any season. You only need to change the wreath depending on the season, and give it maybe some color or flowers or maybe pine cones for Christmas. I think it looks super cute. I think it has a really high-end look. I'm just obsessed with how it turned out, and I hope that you'll like it too. It was so easy and on a budget, so guys, I just hope that you can get ideas and inspiration from these. You don't need to do them exactly how I did it. Look around your home, look what you have, and try to use it. Use your creativity and create your own stuff. For this next project, I'm gonna try to recreate this beautiful eucalyptus wreath from the fall collection from Magnolia. I think it looks amazing. So you're going to need a ring, and you can use one of these ones from these tomato trellis, or you can use any wreath that you have at home. I actually have this one. It comes in a set of like 3, and it's from Dollar Tree too, but they have so many options there. So check on your Dollar Trees, or maybe you can use any wreath that you have. It's going to work too. So once I have this ring, I'm going to be using some of these eucalyptus branches. They look pretty similar to the ones from the Magnolia wreath, and I really like them. I got them from Amazon, and they are so cheap, and I think they are just perfect for fall. I love the quality and the color they have. So I'm going to be using these, and I'm going to be cutting some small pieces because I want to add them only on the bottom part of this wreath, just like the one from the Heart and Hand collection. I'm going to be using 2 branches to each side in opposite directions. On the middle of the wreath, I'm going to be cutting some small pieces of these eucalyptus leaves, and you can add maybe some hot glue to be able to stick them and make look your wreath fuller. And if you want, you can add these hot glue through the whole branches to make sure that they stick well, or you can roll it up on your ring like I did. Once I have that part ready, to be able to hang these, I decided to add a really nice touch using this faux leather ribbon from Dollar Tree. I just cut a small piece, and I'm going to stick that on the top of the wreath. Once I was done, this is how my project turned out, and I really like it. Of course, the link of these eucalyptus branches are in the description box and on my Amazon favorites. For this next project, I'm going to be using this vase that I found on a Dollar Tree, and oh my god, I was so impressed about this. It's super big. I love the shape it has, and I think it's just perfect. And I decided to try something really fun with this vase. I'm going to be using some tape. This is like the blue tape that I always use from Dollar Tree. It's perfect to use it as a kind of like a stencil, and I'm going to be adding these on the bottom part of the vase, trying to create a straight line. Then I'm going going to be using some paper, and I'm gonna cover the top part of this vase because I'm going to be painting these. For that, I'm going to be using this metallic copper spray paint color, and I'm going to be using these to paint the bottom part of this vase. And I really love this color. I think it's perfect now for fall, but also looks pretty neutral for any time of the year. I'm going to paint these and then I'm going to let it dry. You can give it 2 coats of paint if you want, and then I'm going to remove the tape. And then as you can see, I add some stones inside just to give it some weight and a nice touch. And then you can add a leaf. I decided to add these dried flowers from Dollar Tree. They come in a bush. I think this vase can look amazing if you add something simple like a pampas or maybe some branches, and this copper color looks amazing all year round. So you're going to have a really pretty neutral vase. For the next project, I'm going to be using these candle holders that you can get from Dollar Tree, and they come in 3 different sizes, and I got one of each one of them. And then I'm going to be painting these with my ultra matte black spray paint, and I give it 2 coats of paint and then I let them dry. And I love how they look, but I want to like give it an extra touch. So I'm going to be using this gold metallic paint. You can get this from Walmart, and I'm going to be using that with a sponge. And basically what I'm going to do is to like add the paint on the edges or on those parts that you want your candle holder to pop out a little bit more. And it's super easy to do these with a sponge. You maybe can use like a makeup sponge to do it, and that can work amazing too. Once I was done and I let the paint dry, this is how my 3 candle holders look. And I think that, I don't know, I just love the combination between the black and the gold color. So yeah, this is how they look. And next I'm going to be adding some candles inside from Dollar Tree, and I think that these 3 candle holders can look amazing if I put them on top of these circular plaque that I already paint in some wax antique color. And this is how this project turned out. It was super easy to make, and these candle holders can be used all year round for any season, and they are going to give it that high-end look on any space. I'm going to be using this sign that I have is from Dollar Tree, and it's really long, and I decided to use it to create a sign for my front porch. And first I'm going to be changing the color. I'm going to be using this chalk paint in black color, and I'm going to paint these with 2 coats of paint, and then I'm going to let it dry very well. Once I paint my sign and it's completely dry, I'm going to be adding 3 pumpkins, and I decided to use these Decor piece also from Dollar Tree, and it has some footballs and some pumpkins. I'm going to be using the 3 pumpkins that it has, and I'm going to remove the ribbon that is attached. Then, like most of the signs from Dollar Tree, it has a lot of glitter, so I decided to remove that, and I'm going to be using a sanding sponge, and then I'm going to be cleaning all of that mess with my mini ladybug vacuum. And I'm going to leave you the link of this product in the description box of the video. Now I'm going to be painting my pumpkins, and for that I decided to use my chalk paint in moss color, and I'm going to be giving these pumpkins 2 really good coats of paint. And between coats I'm going to be drying everything with my heat tool. That works really amazing. Just to give my pumpkins a little bit more of dimension, I'm going to be using my wax in antique color, and I'm going to be adding that color on the top and on the bottom part of the pumpkin pumpkin, making sure that it looks good. It's super easy, and this is just going to give it a little bit more of dimension to my pumpkin, and it's going to make it look so much better. And I'm going to be doing the same to all of my pumpkins. Okay, once they are completely dry, it's time to stick them on my sign. And I'm going to be adding these 3 pumpkins on the center of the sign, and I'm going to be sticking them with hot glue to the sign. Once I stick the 3 pumpkins, I think this sign needs some color, some texture, so I'm going to be using a little bit of raffia from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be making like a small knot on the back side of the sign to be able to turn these on my sign and then stick the sides with hot glue. And I'm going to be doing the same thing on the bottom part of the sign and on the top part. Okay, once I was done with this part, it's time to do all of the magic with my Cricut. You can stick your decal on your pumpkins. I'm going to be adding these on order. First welcome, then home, and then pumpkin. If you want, maybe you can add some Mod Podge just to protect the vinyl and the pumpkins from the weather, because you can use these outside. And once I was done, this is how my project turned out. It was so easy to make. I'm so happy how everything turned out. I think the words looks amazing. The sign looks amazing, the colors, and I think it's perfect now for the fall season, and perfect to add these on your front porch. Project, I was inspired by this faux flower plant arrangement from the Hearth and Hand collection, now for fall 2021, and I want to do something a little bit similar using the same colors. So I'm going to be using this bubble vase from Dollar Tree. I'm reusing this one. That is why it is black, but normally this is just clear, it's glass. And I'm also going to be using some paint. I'm going to be using my Waverly Shock paint in pumpkin color and hazelnut color, and I'm going to be mixing both to have the perfect neutral tone. Once I mix these, I'm going to start painting my bubble vase, and I'm going to give it 2 coats of paint, and you need to let it dry very well between coats. Once I added the 2 coats on my vase, I'm going to be using some of this ink color and a toothbrush, and I really love this technique. I'm going to be creating like so many dots on my vase with the toothbrush. I think it's one of the easiest way to do it, and it turned out amazing. I have been doing these so many times with different type of vases, and I think that I never get enough. I really love how this looks, and it's going to give it a really nice touch, and it also looks pretty similar of the one from Magnolia. Next, I'm going to be adding some stones inside just to give it some weight, and then I'm going to be using this foxtail because it has this pretty like purple tone, the same one as the one from Magnolia. Of course, the flowers are going to be different because I'm doing these my way, but I think it looks pretty good. The color looks pretty similar, and I'm also going to be adding these like dry flower pieces, and then I'm going to be adding some moss inside of the vase just to cover the stones. Once I was done, guys, this is how my project turned out. I think it looks amazing. It's so easy to make, and of course it's on a budget. The one from Magnolia is pretty cheap, but you can always do it yourself if you want, and here is some inspiration. For the next project, I'm going to be using another one of these foam pumpkins from Dollar Tree, and I decided to change the color first. I'm going to be using my chalk paint in hazelnut color, and I'm going to paint my whole pumpkin, and I'm going to give it 2 really good coats of paint, and I'm going to let it dry. Once it is dry, this is how it's going to look. The paint doesn't look perfect, I know, but it's okay. We're going to cover that because I'm going to be using this non-slip rock underlay from Dollar Tree. I love these. I love like the pattern it has and everything. I'm going to cut a square piece and then I'm going to add my pumpkin on top, and before sticking anything, I'm going to cut a hole into my pumpkin on the top of the pumpkin, and this is going to help me to put all of these like non-slip rock inside of the pumpkin. It's going to make the process so much easier, and also it's going to basically cover the entire hole, so don't worry about that. Once I cover my whole pumpkin, this is how it looks and I love it. Now it's time to add the stem, and for the stem I'm going to be using this top part of this pumpkin. I'm going to cut that, and then I'm going to cover it with some jute to give it like a nice touch and texture to my pumpkin, and also it's going to match really good. I'm going to be sticking that with hot glue on the top of my pumpkin, and then I'm going to create a really cool tip that I just always do. I'm going to be adding a small piece of jute on the tip of my glue gun, and I'm going to turn that, let it sit for a couple seconds. Careful not to burn my fingers, and once I remove that, I have this really nice cool jute cord that I'm going to add on the top of my pumpkin close to the stem. And once I was done, this is how my project turned out. It was so simple to make. I love the texture, and this doesn't look like a $1 pumpkin from Dollar Tree. It looks really high end and I love it. Next, I'm going to be using this canvas frame that I got from Five Below. It comes in a set of 2 for only $5, and this is the big one. I think this one is 18 by 20 inches. I'm not sure. So anyways, I'm gonna start by removing the staples that it has on the back side because I need to work with the wood and the canvas fabric separated. So I'm gonna be removing the staples, and for that I'm going to be using this tool that I highly recommend. I get it from Amazon. It works amazing and it's so cheap, so in the description you can find the link. Once I remove all of the staples, I'm going to start working with the wood frame, and I want to stain these. You can use any stain that you have at home. I like to use this wax in antique color because it dries really fast and it doesn't smell like that bad as the normal stains. So this is what I'm going to be using to paint the whole wood frame. I want to add some dimension, like a distressed look. So I'm going to be using this chalk paint in mineral color, and I'm going to be using the same brush, and I'm just going to add a little bit of paint on the canvas frame, and that is going to give me like a distressed look. Then I'm going to let this dry. For the canvas fabric, I decided to add some color. It's not like that big difference that you're going to see, but I really like this plaster color from Waverly. It's kind of like an ivory tone, so I'm going to give one coat of these to my whole canvas fabric, and then I'm going to let it dry. Once this piece is completely dry, I'm going to be cutting all of the folded edges that it has. Now I'm going to be putting these two pieces together, and you can use maybe hot glue. That is going to work well, but I always like to use this stapler. I'm going to be adding staples on the back side, making sure that the canvas fabric is completely straight, and that way you're going to have a really nice sign on a budget. Now, to add some decoration on these and make it perfect now for fall, I'm going to be using these burlap leaves that I got from Dollar Tree, but I need more and I didn't have enough, so I'm going to be using these tote bag that I got from Dollar Tree too, and I'm going to be using the back part because it's made of burlap, and I'm going to use that to cut some leaves in different sizes. Once I have that part ready, this is how my leaves looks like, and then I'm going to be adding some more in green color and another ones that I painted a few years ago in different colors. I just used like a normal leaf from a bush from Dollar Tree, and I painted the color that I want to. I think I used some hazelnut color and mineral color to paint my leaves. So these are the colors that I'm going to be using. Then I'm going to start putting them where I want them to be, making sure that it looks good, that I like it. And once I'm really sure of that, I'm going to start adding the hot glue to stick all of the leaves. Remember that you can use more colors if you want. I decided to use these ones, and I really like how they look all together because I have different colors and different textures in these sign. Once I was done, this is how my project turned out, and I really like it. I think it looks amazing. I think that all of these leaves in these different textures look really good together. I love the neutral colors, and I'm so happy of how easy and fun this sign was to do. For this next project, I'm going to be using this beautiful woven tray, and I'm going to add these on the top of my toilet on my bathroom because I'm going to be decorating my bathroom. And I'm also going to be adding like this beautiful house sign that I get from the Target dollar spot, and I'm going to be hanging a wreath on that. Next, I'm going to be adding this candle holder that I DIY, and I'm going to be putting a white pumpkin on top. And on the other side, I'm going to be adding this beads pumpkin that I also DIY, and I'm going to leave you those links in the description box. This is how this part of my bathroom looks like, and I really like it. Hope you like it too. For the next project, I was inspired by this fall bleach with grass plant wreath from the Heart and Hand collection from Magnolia. It's $35 and it is 24 inches. I really like it, but I think it's too big. I want to make one for like the top of the cabinets on my kitchen, and I want it to be a little bit smaller. So I'm going to be using these bamboo wreath that I just have, but of course you can use the ones from Dollar Tree. I'm also going to be using these weights that I got from Amazon, and they're pretty long for this wreath, so I'm going to be cutting them to be able to add these to my wreath. And if you want, you can add hot glue, but with these type of wreaths, it's not necessary at all. You can push them throughout the wreath and it's going to be fine. It's going to stay there, it's not gonna move or go anywhere, and it works perfect. And guys, let me tell you, these weights are so good. They are so cheap, and you can get them from Amazon. I have been looking for weights in so many places, and they cost a lot. The ones from Dollar Tree are like plastic, and actually they're expensive if you compare them with these ones, because these come like 100 for less than $12 or $11. So of course I'm going to leave you the link of the ones that I have. You can get the link in the description box and on my Amazon favorites. I just use a few pics of these weights from my package, and I think it looks amazing. This is a pretty small wreath, but you can do it bigger with the bamboo wreaths from Dollar Tree. I think it looks amazing. It's on a budget and it's perfect now for fall. For this project, I'm reusing this frame that I did using these wooden signs that you can get from Dollar Tree. I DIY these last year. I also can leave you the link of that in the description box, but basically I just put these together forming a frame. This time I want to change the color and give it like a really cool look. I'm going to be adding some of these paint that I just mixed, but it's basically like the Waverly Shock paint in a mineral color. Once I paint my whole frame, I'm going to dry that with my heat tool to make the process so much faster. Then I'm going to give these a second coat of paint, but this time I'm going to add texture. For that, I'm going to be using sand, and I'm going to add that sand in my paint, and I'm going to mix these really well, and then I'm going to be painting and giving that second coat to my frame with these paint with sand. This is going to give a really nice texture to my frame, and it's going to look amazing. Next, just to give it like the most cool look, I'm going to be using some pepper, and I'm going to add that on the top of the paint that's still wet, and then I'm going to let it sit until it dries. I did the same thing all over my frame, and then once it is completely dry, with your hands you can try to remove all of that like excess of maybe pepper that your frame has. How cool is this? Let me know in the comments if you have tried this technique before or if it's the first time. Let me know that in the comments. Next, I'm going to be using these fall signs that I DIY last year, and this is a really good project too. You're not gonna believe how I made this fall sign, and if you know, let me know in the comments. But basically, I'm going to be reusing these, and I'm also going to be using some jute twine and some beads. I'm going to be adding 6 beads on my jute, and then I'm going to be sticking the sign with hot glue, then another bead, another letter sign, bead, letter sign, bead, letter sign, and just make sure that on the sides it has 6 beads, or maybe you can add more depending on the frame that you are using. I'm going to be sticking these on the back side of the frame, and then to cover all of that, I'm going to be using some whiteboard from Dollar Tree. You can cut that in the right size and then stick it with hot glue or with staples. Now, I think the perfect touch is to add a pumpkin sign. I also DIYed these last year. As you can see, I'm reusing so many things from last year and just give them a new look. So these are just some ideas. I stick the pumpkin on the bottom part, and then I just add some greenery to give it a pop of color, but still like very neutral. And this is how my project turned out. You can hang these on your wall and it looks amazing. You can also put these on the top of your mantle, and I think that's a great idea. And I just hope that you like it and that you can get inspired by these. Okay guys, so this is the end of the video. I really hope that you like it, and if you do, please give me that big thumbs up. That really helps to support this channel. And let me know in the comments right now which of these 25 ideas is one of your favorites. Let me know that in the comments, and make sure that you are subscribed to this channel, and make sure that you hit the bell to get notified every single time that I'm going to be uploading new videos. Remember to follow me on all my social media pages and my other channel, Jazomy Home. All the links are always in the description box and in the screen right here. See you in the other channel and in the next video, okay? Bye!